Up next, one of the sort of trademark sessions that we do at Street Fight Summit is our startup showcase. Street Fight is really sort of at our core, what we kind of are known for best really is identifying where is the new and the next, and our startup showcase at every single Street Fight conference identifies some of those new and next. So I'm really thrilled to welcome our startups and our host of this session, Jeff Khadavi, President of Infogroup Data Licensing. Welcome.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Startup Showcase. I'm going to try to make this as close to Shark Tank as possible to keep it fun. I guess before we get started, by a show of hands, how many people here have invested in an early stage tech company in the past? All right. There's a couple of startups who are raising money backstage. Guys, focus on everybody with a hand up during the drinks and cocktail hour. So take a mental image. Don't even bother talking to the people who aren't raising their hands. So anyway, like I said, my name is Jeff Khadavi. I'm president of Infogroup's data licensing division. A little bit of background about me. I started a company in 2008 called GoTime. We started off as a consumer-facing company. We wanted to be a better city search, better Yelp kind of directory. And in the process, we built a database of all the businesses in the US. We collected a lot of niche, unique information about these businesses, who had outdoor seating, who had TVs, what their happy hour was. And in the process of building a consumer-facing company, we realized how hard it was to be successful in that space. But we also realized that we actually had a great database of information. And I guess our first pivot came when we actually switched from becoming a consumer company to becoming a data company. And over the course of these startups' lives, I'm sure a lot of them are going to pivot many different times. And yeah, I guess we kind of stumbled on that opportunity. When you're doing a startup, you got to follow the money. And 4 years later, just to kind of make a long story short, we were acquired by Infogroup, who's the 2,000-pound gorilla in the data space. They were compiling their data in very manual ways. They were calling tens of thousands of businesses every day. We were compiling our database through scripts and algorithms and a lot of technology. So, our acquisition was a marriage between a very manual operation, which was Infogroup, and since then we brought a lot of technology to the company and really kind of invigorated it. So, happy to be here, excited to be here. We have an awesome roster of startups. Speaking of Shark Tank, actually, one of them actually was on Shark Tank, so you might recognize them. And the way this is going to work is that we're going to call them up one by one. Each one of them has 6 minutes to present. If they could decide to kind of go a little bit shorter, and if they do, we're going to have a little bit of a Q&A. So either I'll ask a question, or if somebody has a question they want to ask, just raise your hand. I'll keep a lookout. We'll try to take it easy on you guys. So we'll ask you some hard questions, but we'll try not to grill them. And yeah, I guess with that being said, we'll invite our first startup to the stage. The company's called Ocho, and Jonathan's the CEO. So welcome.
Thanks a lot. So Mark Cuban did invest in our company, but I never had a cameo on Shark Tank, so that is not me. So to kick it off, I'm not Goldbutter. I'll talk about Goldbutter, though. Oh, perfect. So the title of this is The Future Belongs to Visual Storytellers. And my name is Jonathan Swerdlin, and my company is called Mass Lab. All right, perfect. So traditionally, stories were shared in a small circle before the glow of a fire, right? I'd tell a story, and then somebody would process that story and then retell that story. And so information was shared in such a way, it was really local and really small. And since then, that's completely flipped on its head. And now I tell a story, but instead of telling it, I share it through a piece of media. And the media goes into a hub, and from that hub, somebody consumes it, and then they pass it on to their friends, but it all goes right back to that hub. So instead of it being accessible to just the people sitting around a fire, it's accessible to anybody that has a smartphone, essentially the glow of a smartphone, right? And that's 2.3 billion people. So what's interesting is that's about to turn into 6 billion people is what the estimates are. So that what that means is the world is lighting up, right? The corners of the world, that idea of Borneo, right? That those corners of the world are being rounded with access to information. And visual media is indeed our most powerful vehicle for storytelling. It's you look at TV over the last century, that has been the medium to which everything from Tiananmen Square to Walking on the Moon, that's how we've consumed our seminal moments. And so it's video that's the most powerful way to get people in, to share a story, to influence decision making. And so even more interesting than that, it's only been a few hundred days that we've actually had the bandwidth and the processing power on our phones to power video in a meaningful way where you're streaming it, you're not buffering, you're really getting it, and you can also be a part of that and share that. So we see that as the greatest opportunity in the history of humanity for media publishing and consumption. And indeed, it's visual media, it's video on a phone that's going to change every decision from politics to hairstyles, which mentioned Donald Trump whenever I say those two together in the same sentence. That enables people to really get out there. And so you see all this, and it's completely changed the way that we see ourselves and we see the world around us. And what does this mean for businesses now? So it's never been easier for a business to reach a consumer and to know who those consumers are. But there's some big questions that still need to be answered. How do you talk to them? And what channels do you use to talk to them? Because the options are infinite. So the way we see it is, the greatest opportunity is actually in the bundling. That means a singular piece of media that's delivered to the right context, that has a call to action, and involves true storytelling. So when I say context, that means, let's say, 16 to 24-year-olds that are in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. And when I say a call to action, that means, let's say, a revenue-driving event, like a ticket to a restaurant meal. And then storytelling is, of course, a story that you tell. Now, there's no shortage of tools or apps to deliver to the right people and to get that transaction going. That's all there. That's commodity stuff at this point. But what's not commodity stuff, the hard part, the fun part, for me, and the thing that we're really looking at is the storytelling. And that's something that AI is going to have a tough time replacing. That's what tugs on the heartstrings. That's what makes people cry, what moves people, and moves people to do everything from political decisions to purchasing decisions. And so, indeed, the future does belong to visual storytellers. So I'm Jonathan Swerdlin, and my company is MassLab. We recently released a location-based video sharing platform called Panama. It was short for Panorama. So the premise is that it's a living video history of a place. So I open up my phone, I take a video, I share it. It's completely anonymous, there's no login, and then anybody that's immediately around me can see that video. And then it essentially, over time, creates a chronology of what has happened in that place. And we're also soon releasing a platform called Channel, and Channel is an app for Apple TV and smartphones that's going to reimagine television as an open platform where anybody can create a channel and anybody can monetize with micropayments. We believe contents and micropayments together are actually the future of how content creators are going to make money. Thank you very, very much.
All right. So I think we might have time for one question. So I guess one question that came to mind is around user acquisition. I mean, there's tons of apps in the App Store, and it's hard to get a community. So there's a little bit of a chicken and the egg. How are you going to get users when you don't have content? How are you going to get content without users? How do you solve that?
So the first thing to say is that we've begun solving that, and Ocho has been successful in something that we've seen large spikes in traffic when we first released. You have to first, of course, create a compelling product. But second to that, you have to see where the tribes are, and you have to, with great community management, start to get people to know about it in those tribes. And if these are people that are in fact inclined to use the platform and you put it in front of them and you're driving real value, they will come. Another amazing thing is that it so happens that audiences are now essentially unionized, they're networked, right? You go on YouTube, there's people that have millions and millions of followers. That person goes from YouTube over to Ocho or over to Channel, which is coming out soon. That they bring over all these people with them, and audience begets audience begets audience. The other piece to that is when it comes to monetization. We think that the future of monetization is not just advertising. That'll always be there, and that's micropayments, but what I like to call any payments, because micropayments just means you can go down to fractions of a cent, but you can go all the way up to $1 million. It doesn't really matter is the point. And so what micropayments is going to do for content is it's going to shrink the distance between the impression and the transaction, and that's something we haven't seen before. And it also allows anybody that has maybe not 1 million followers, but say 10,000 followers, they can't make money on advertising because it's all about views, but they certainly have an engaged audience. And if they have 500 people that care so much about them and their content, they may be willing to pay for it. So it allows people to actually monetize in such a way. Thank you very, very much. I've gone over my time.
All right. Thank you so much. We'll invite the next startup on stage. Navid is the CEO of Gobulter, a New York-based company, and they actually recently raised an $8 million funding round. So, Navid.
Hey, what's up, guys? So yeah, I'm the CEO of Goldbutter. Goldbutter is an on-demand virtual assistant, which helps you to get whatever you need on demand 24/7. Just get on the next slide. So the big problem that we're solving, we're just talking about user acquisition and discovery, is really you have way too many apps on your phone, right? And we can go through different categories. We can start with food. We can go through travel, and even like for a use case like food, to find particular food, you need to have like 5 to 10 apps on your phone to really get the result that you want. And we believe that's a big problem, category by category. And we believe, having an assistant, who you can say, hey, I want to get the best pizza pepperoni that can be delivered to me right now, which then has an algorithm to really check that for you, that knows your address, has your credit card details, and just gets you what you want on demand, is a huge problem that we're solving here. And that's again just one category. You see, I'll put there a few logos of different. It's about groceries, food, travel, any type of other service, whether it's cleaning or laundry, that you probably don't even know all these names of these apps to download them, right? And it's just a big problem of discovery on mobile devices that we're solving with a digital assistant. And the way it works, you text us, so it's currently purely text-based. So you text 2500, you sign up, and then we have a combination of artificial intelligence and human assistant to get your request done, right? So it's really as easy as you can tell us, hey, I'm looking for a restaurant reservation, and I'm looking for that kind of restaurant. It can be something very, very specific, like, hey, I want to get on this flight from New York to San Francisco at this time. Or it can be, hey, I'm looking for, to go on vacation with my family, my wife and 2 kids, and we don't really know where to go. So it can be a very specific request. It can be very general requests, and there's always a human part to every single request. So it's very, very important for us that we get you the best experience possible. So we believe, Siri, who's really our competitor, why do people not really use it? Because, it just doesn't give you the experience that you need. AI just isn't there yet to get you to fulfill requests end to end. So we use a lot of technology to be very, very efficient, but we believe having a human touch to it and the power of human decision making is super powerful to get you the experience that will make you actually use our product and come back for a variety of different categories. To give you an overview of what people are using us for, so as Jeff was saying, so we launched 8 months ago. We closed $8 million of funding from General Catalyst, Ashton Kutcher, a bunch of European investors, and we have around 250,000 active users right now. And we're not doing any marketing. This is all purely organic growth. We're actually still heavily developing our product. And around half of our requests are delivery related. A large part of that is food. Then around 20% is travel, so flight bookings, hotel bookings, vacation packages. 20% are a category we call value services. So that's restaurant reservations, appointments, doctor's appointments, anything like that. And then there's around 10% like informational requests and local search requests, right? So Goldbutter is here to make your life easier. We believe this is the next, big thing, and the smart assistants are, Facebook just launched their competitive product with a product called M. So we believe that assistants are going to be the future of how people are going to interact with mobile devices and how they're going to consume mobile devices.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So I guess I actually gave Gobulter a test drive yesterday. So I was actually texting back and forth with someone. You said human, there's human involvement and there's also artificial intelligence. Was I texting with a person or was I texting with a computer?
Yeah, so probably a combination of both, right? So part of your request is always all the routing, the categorization is always done automatically, and depending on how much, like if you say, hey, if you've used us before, we have your address, we have a payment deal, say, hey, I want to get pizza pepperoni, there's no person involved in that. I don't know, what was your request?
I asked for a restaurant recommendation around the Sheraton. So
yeah, so restaurant recommendations are fairly structured, so good chance that there was probably no human involved in that at all. How was your experience?
It was good. They sent me a link to the Village Voice, which was top 10 restaurants in Tribeca, and then he actually gave me a specific recommendation of the list. So it was good.
Okay.
Well
awesome.
done.
Well, happy. Yeah. So everyone, check it out. Text 25400 to start, yeah, just send, if you have any feedback, Navid@Gobulter.com. I'm always happy to hear, especially about the bad things. I don't want to hear how good it is. I want to see what we can improve.
One more question for you. So, I use the Amex concierge, from time to time, and it's very hit or miss. It's kind of, sometimes they complete the use case. I mean, how are you guys going to be better than them when they're all humans? You're talking to someone.
Yeah, so I think it's very different. So, I mean, like, first of all, you send an email to Amex. It's not really on demand, right? You don't get a response immediately. And then you use it for very different, I mean, I also have the Amex contract. I use it for, like, when I know I want to go on vacation, like, next year, and, like, I don't really have any, like, time pressure, I would send an email and, like, expect a response 3 days later. But when you want to send, flowers to your mom, or when you want to eat something right now, when you want to book a flight for tomorrow, that's where, an automated system or a system that's going to get you a response immediately is a lot more powerful.
Awesome. Thank you, Navid.
Thank you.
Good luck to Goldbutter. We'll invite the next startup. Skyler is the CEO of Rain. So just want to invite Skyler up to the stage.
Hello. So just cutting to the chase, we do mobile marketing, and the only reason it matters is because we get a good ROI for our customers. So from farmers markets to McDonald's, we've proven to get above a 260% return on their investment with what they spend with us. The biggest way we're able to do that is because we do something called full service and full circle. We handle everything for the customer, and we follow the customer journey. When I refer to a customer, I'm talking about the end person who's actually spending the money in a McDonald's or at a farmer's market. We care about what are they feeling at every touch point we have with them. And we follow touch points all the way from our outreach to when we remind that customer about that business. I'll walk you through it a little bit. Basically, if we wanted to target the people around here, obviously we all know we can use GPS location to do so. We'd want to target the people over our competitors as well at the same time. And everywhere somebody is, we really want every message to be localized, and it doesn't matter how many locations we're covering, the context, the apps we choose, the reminding time, everything needs to be set per location. When you're doing that, you want to make sure you show up on apps that people actually care about and enjoy using, so then that way they have a good feeling about your brand and your message when you arrive. So obviously Waze has been a great one for us, NHL, CNN, Words with Friends, Pandora, Shazam, Instagram's a new one that's a lot of fun. I'll walk you through the full service part. A key is to never have automatic created ads. All of our ads are hand done, so that way people can, it doesn't look like spam. It actually looks better if somebody made it on their phone or it's a raw image from an iPhone, but nothing that's computer generated. From there, of course, we target people in the right location at the right time. That's all news, not news to you guys. Full service ads and full size ads make a huge difference. You're familiar with that as well. The big key, though, is making sure that the ad that they see matches the landing page that they're on. We cover that for our clients. Then you have a very specific call to action. So I saw an ad, I like it, I clicked on it. What am I going to do from here? Nobody wants to go to a website or email somebody from their phone. Texting is the most likely. Call directions also come into play. The reminding piece is a big one. A lot of our clients in the past years have spent a lot of money on mobile marketing but not done a good job with the reminding. Obviously, we all know about retargeting or remarketing. Apple Passbook and Google Wallet also work as really good reminders where they could save deals to their phones and get reminded about them when they come back around to that business. The biggest piece I think that matters is that the only people that care about this are maybe 5 people in this room and 2 people at my office. But the rest of the world does not care. They just want people in the door. And so we just focus on those numbers for them. How many people saw your ad, called you, got directions, or called because of what you've done here? That's it. Like I said, we focus just on getting a return on investment for the customer. That's the big piece. We've found most of our success by working with agencies and resellers. The details are what matter, of course. GPS does help. But the whole key, I think, is the full service, and then most importantly, the full circle, where from outreach to reminding, you're covering what your customer needs. Thank you.
And by the way, if anyone has a question, feel free to raise your hand, and we'll bring a mic over. But I guess in this room, everybody's involved in the local space, and they work with a lot of them work with SMBs, and People who work with SMBs know that it's really challenging to sell anything to them. I mean, they're really focused on their own operations. They're not very sophisticated. It's just a real challenge to sell to SMBs. They're getting solicited all the time. How would a small startup company like yourselves sell, what's a slick product, though? How would you get out there? Would you plan to sell directly to them, or would you partner with a bigger channel to get out to these SMBs?
Yeah, good question. So I think one thing that helped is I had a retail store, so I understand how busy they are and how little they care about this. And in doing so, what we ended up doing is, I've heard someone mention it earlier, but we actually did partner with chambers of commerce. We have about, I think, 600 different chambers we partnered with that bring us to about 300,000 small businesses. Through that, we've acquired about 10,000 of them as paying clients. So that channel helped for kind of building a little bit of credibility, but more than that, actually for understanding what they cared about or wanted. And as you know, with any channel, it gets old and heavy, and you need to find a new. Since then, we've been really just pure lucky. I don't know how I'd reproduce this, but if you go in the App Store and search advertising, we're the first app. So it's kind of like SEO in the App Store. That's been working incredibly well. But I think the reality for us is that the core SMB who we really want to target is still early for them, and it's usually the mid-sized businesses that are getting the most traction right now. People who have, they still might be considered small out of Fortune 1000, but a few hundred locations. That's who I see jumping on this bandwagon now.
Awesome. And then just kind of diving deeper into the sales process, is it, do you have to go and meet with them? Do you actually have to go on site? Is it a telephone call, or is it kind of like a self-serving platform where they can kind of download your product and know how to use it from there?
No, we actually just use Goldbutter. You just text in, I want ads, and you're done.
Nice. Little synergies between our startups.
Yeah, no, I'm only half kidding on that. So what we do is we do have a simple sign up online. We try to play with that and, of course, test it, but there's always a human touch. And what we've noticed is the sooner we can get somebody on the phone or texting or emailing with one of our representatives, the sooner their sales cycle will end.
And then what's the cost? I'm sure it's based on a certain usage, but high level.
Yeah, we have clients that pay us I think the least expensive package is $350 a month, and the most expensive person spending about $35,000 a month. So it just depends on a number of locations.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much. Good luck.
Thank you. Thank you.
Round of applause. So now I'll invite Phillip, who's the CEO of Blockfeed, on to present next. Welcome.
Cool. Hey everyone, I'm Phil, the CEO of Blockfeed, the smart local news platform. Now, at Blockfeed, we love local news. We think the content itself is great. The problem we're trying to solve has to do with the user experience of using local news. We think it's dumb. Now, what do I mean by dumb? Recall using a paper map to navigate your city. You have to know where you are, where you want to go, and manually plot the route yourself. The map itself lacks context about you and the ambient conditions of your city. It's a dumb solution. Now, enter GPS navigation. It knows where you are, it knows where you want to go, and it has access to an entire constellation of external data that enables it to efficiently route you at that moment. It has context, and this makes it a smart solution. Local news currently lacks the context necessary to give you an ideal local news experience. It doesn't know where you are, it doesn't know what you're interested in reading, and it doesn't know what stories are most significant to you or your community. For example, say I live in Brooklyn, and I open up my favorite local newspaper, my favorite website, and I'm immediately presented with a front page story from Staten Island. Now, what the paper doesn't know is that buried deep inside, there's actually a story about something that just occurred a block away from me. A smart local news platform knows this and can adjust accordingly. And that's why we built Blockfeed, a smart platform that enhances news with contextual data. And this allows us to present an ideal local news experience. Now, what do I mean by enhancing news? In any city that we support, we ingest the entire ecosystem of local news sources. We analyze the text of the article using NLP, machine learning, and other techniques, which allows us to associate geo-coordinates, we can associate Foursquare or Google places, we can track the performance of the article on different social media platforms. We can categorize it, and more. But what this does is it unlocks a whole new world of possibilities for us. And here are some of the things we're already doing at Blockfeed. So we're kind of most well known for our ability to give you a feed of news based on your current location, a custom feed. So whether you're in like Brooklyn, Queens, or Manhattan, you actually see different feeds. Because of the context we're constructing around a news story, we can do some really cool things with push notifications. We can alert you when a crime breaks 5 blocks away from you. We can notify you when stories in your area are actually trending on social media. We can create custom feeds of content that are only available in certain locations. So if for whatever reason you find yourself on a New York City college campus, you can actually access a special feed of student news right alongside your normal news. And all of this is possible because we've built a smart platform that actually injects context into local news. And this context is what makes Blockfeed so powerful. It's as drastic a change as switching from using paper maps for navigation to using a GPS-based solution. And fortunately for us, people seem to agree. We're really grateful for the amazing press that we've been receiving and the way our users are integrating Blockfeed into their daily lives. Our average user is opening the app 2 or more times a day, and our user base has been doubling every month since we launched. And I just wanted to share one cool new thing that we're actually working on right now. So we want to transform our current users from passive readers into active consumers of the local businesses around them. So say I'm reading a New York Times review of a restaurant that just opens up. Blockfeed will allow you to reserve a table at the restaurant or order food from it. Say I am reading about an upcoming concert in Time Out. Blockfeed will allow you to buy tickets to the concert in the app itself. And this unlocks monetization options that will make Blockfeed both more useful and engaging for our users. So before I leave you, I kind of wanted to mention how exciting the digital news space is right now. As you all probably know, Apple just released their native news app. Facebook's been investing in their instant articles feature. Twitter's just hired a bunch of journalists to support their Moments feature. But the question I have for you is, which of these guys is actually solving the local news problem? And the answer is that none of them are, but we are. Thank you. You can follow us on Twitter at BlockfeedApp, or check us out at blockfeed.com. And we are actually currently raising a seed round, so if you're interested, email me directly at phil@blockfeed. Thank you.
Congratulations, Phil, on your new release. And I think with time, you successfully evaded my question as well. So
Cool.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks again.
Jeff.
We'd like to invite the last startup. Dan is with Doorman, and this was actually the company who was on Shark Tank. So welcome, Dan.
Well, I was not on Shark Tank. Our CEO, Xander, was. But
we'll get to that if there's time.
We'll get to that at the end. Missed delivery stickers, symbol of everything that is wrong with package delivery. They're all over the city, and we're trying to change that. If I came up here and I told you about a package delivery company that was built to deliver packages when you were at work during the day, you'd think I was crazy. But of course, that is how package delivery works now. Enter Doorman. Amazon, we get the question all the time, can Amazon do this? Aren't they working on things like this? And the answer is absolutely. But what about all the people that don't want to sell through Amazon? Amazon will only deliver what goes through their system. And so we look to offer a higher level of service to people that don't want to sell through Amazon. How we work, we're a scheduled package delivery company. 20% of residential package deliveries in cities fail in the first attempt. At least half the buildings in New York City don't have doormen. So we're trying to make sure that retailers can get their product in the hands of consumers that want them. So you would get your Doorman address upon signing up or checking out at a partner retailer. You would have your package delivered to our depot. At that point, when we receive it, you would get a notification in the app or in your email, and you would schedule it at a time that's convenient for you, 6 to midnight, 7 days a week, and we'll deliver it to you. So let's say Sarah buys a new shirt online. She'll put the Doorman address in checkout. She'll get a notification that looks like this when it arrives, and in the app, you'll be able to schedule a time that's convenient for you. So it's a end-to-end solution. Our tech includes a Doorman API for e-retailers, so you can integrate right into your checkout, and when the customer buys the product, they can use Doorman service seamlessly. There's the iOS Android app for the customers. That makes it easy to schedule. And on the back end, there's the operations app that allows our warehouse and drivers to seamlessly do their job and deliver the package to you as quickly as possible. As mentioned, we were on Shark Tank. We received a deal with Robert. I'll wait to speak about that until I finish up here. So far, we have delivered 40,000 packages from over 3,000 retailers, and our 90% retention shows that once people try us out, they stick with us. One thing that we're very proud of is we've shown that working with Doorman, you're actually able to influence behavior, and customers that use Doorman tend to order 50% more items online than they were before because we're solving a need that they had. We have been in San Francisco for about 1.5 years now. I launched Chicago last month, and New York is launching this week. Happy to announce. So feel free to reach out to us if you'd like to partner with us or integrate into your checkout system. Thank you.
So why don't we just get right to it? If I remember the episode correctly, I think you guys got a deal with Robert. I guess what happened next?
Right. Well, a lot of the deals that happen on Shark Tank don't actually close in real life. But what did occur was an incredible response from people all over the world. The show goes, it was syndicated all over the world, and what we got was a wait list of customers in every market that we're in and that we will be in. It gives us sort of a roadmap that we're able to roll out based on where we're in demand. And also, luckily, a lot of investors from all over the world reaching out, wanting to get involved in our seed round, which we just recently closed.
Awesome, and then congrats on the expansion. I guess my question is, I saw a big, $22 billion slide is around the size of the market. How big is the market? So I live in a doorman building where there's always a doorman. Are you going after kind of the buildings that don't have a doorman, or could this service be useful to me, or how would you quantify the size of the market?
Sure. Well, how many people have doormen? It's not a lot of people.
Not a lot.
It's hard to get the exact figures. I'd say in New York, it's less than 50% of buildings. In cities like Chicago, even doorman buildings, a lot of them won't take packages. So it's not necessarily just buildings that don't have doormen that could use our service. It's really, we've had a lot of oversized and packages that need signatures, wine deliveries, things like that. So just beyond the obvious, there's plenty of use cases for this where we're able to get the package into the customer's hand a lot easier.
Awesome. Well, congrats on your launch in New York. We're all looking forward to it. And thanks, everyone, for joining us.
Thank you.
All right.